If you think of the richest nations around the globe, it is likely that you take the GDP per capita of each country into consideration. We will list the 10 most prosperous countries worldwide according to GDP per capita as determined by the International Monetary Fund, IMF. But, if you're looking for the GDP per person of China, or the GDP per capita of the US, the list below might be a surprise, since the countries that are as the best are also among the smallest in the world. On number 10, Macau SAR. GDP, $22 billion. Population, 695,168. Macau SAR is a special administrative region under China, and its wealth mainly emerges from its over 40 casinos, which make it one of the biggest travel destinations around the world. Even though Macau took a tremendous hit during the COVID-19 crisis with travel restrictions and frequent lockdowns, the economy is already on its way to rapid economic recovery. Number 9, Australia. GDP, $1.69 trillion. Population, 25.77 million. Agriculture, industry, and services are the biggest contributors to the GDP of Australia. Services amount to 62% of GDP of the country. In the industry, mining amounts to about 10% of the GDP and 69% of the total export revenue of Australia. Although Australia is the 6th biggest country by region, agriculture contributes only 3.1% to its GDP. Number 8, Denmark. GDP, $420.8 billion. Population, 5.86 million. According to the Global Peace Index, Denmark is the 2nd safest country in the world, and as per Numbio's Quality of Life Index, the Scandinavian country ranks 4th in the standard of living in the world. It is self-reliant for its energy and exports to the European countries. Although services contribute 67% to its GDP, Denmark is known for its pharmaceutical products, industrial machinery, and electrical machinery production. Number 7, Iceland. GDP, $30.57 billion. Population, 373,000. The economy of Iceland is centered around tourism, fishing, and aluminium export. Currently recovering from the pandemic effect, tourism contributed 8.1% to the GDP, and 35% of the goods and service export revenue of the country in the pre-COVID period. Aluminium and marine products exports amounted to about 40% and 34% of its total exports. Number 6, United States. GDP, $26.95 trillion. Population, 332 million. If you were wondering about GDP per capita US at the beginning, the country definitely makes it to the list of the top 10 economies by GDP per capita PPP, albeit at one of the lower ranks. Along with being a dominant economic entity, America is also powered by its military capacities. Number 5, Qatar. GDP, $235.5 billion. Population, 2.93 million. Qatar, and also the UAE, are on this list of the top 10 economies by GDP per capita ranking for 2023, benefit largely from their reserves of natural resources. For example, Qatar's oil and natural gas reserves are significantly huge compared to its population, contributing to its high ranking among the richest countries. Number 4, Singapore. GDP, $497.35 billion. Population, 5.45 million. Singapore is one of the world's biggest hubs for businesses and trading centers. The nation has many high net worth individuals among its population. The economy has taken a few consecutive hits in recent years, with the pandemic at first and then the Chinese sputtering economy, a crucial trading partner, especially for Singapore's manufacturing sector, making up 21.6% of the total GDP in Singapore. Number 3, Norway. GDP, $546.77 billion. Population, 5.41 million. Norway is again a top petroleum provider in the Western European territories. The country has made good financial progress after the economy crashed during the COVID-19 crisis. Further, Norway has a $1.3 trillion sovereign wealth fund to deal with any crises urgently, which also happens to be the largest of its kind in the world. Number 2. Switzerland. GDP, $813 billion. Population, 8.70 million. One of the biggest tourist hotspots globally, Switzerland also has a bustling financial sector. The country further benefits from exports of precious metals, precision instruments, and machinery like computers and medical devices. About 74% of the Swiss GDP comes from the services sector and 25% from industry, with less than 1% from the agricultural sector. Switzerland further has the lowest VAT rate in Europe. Number 1. Ireland. GDP, $589.57 billion. Population, 5.03 million. After the great financial crisis of 2008, Ireland put a lot of effort into reforming its banking industry. It initiated measures like cuts to public sector wages to get its economy where it is today. Further, Ireland is one of the largest corporate tax havens in the world, with multinational companies such as Apple, Google, and Microsoft adding over 50% to the Irish economy in recent years.